My self-righteous suicide, I find when angels prefer to die. Okay, wake up. Oh, not that remote, the other remote. In your arms forsaken me. I don't even know how it comes up. There it is. There I am with holding the remote. Except this time there's a StreamYard and a logo in the corner. And that's how you know I'm live on StreamYard, folks. There we go. Audio seems good out the TV. One of the best ways to monitor your own stream is watch it back 5 seconds later on your 60-inch TV. That'll do. Had a bunch of people in the live that I'd been running for hours, just farting around, playing with different aspects of sound and whatnot, and answering questions about equipment and whatnot. And decided I would throw up a StreamYard because I didn't see anybody else online, and thought it would be cool to have StreamYard so I could do invites. So here we go. We're going to put the old StreamYard live link into the chat for everyone. Hopefully, maybe Hector. Hopefully, maybe Cajun. Who else? Maybe, I don't know, Freaking King. Freaking Awesome. Sorry. Who knows? But the door is open for my friends at this point, and I'm going to bring on my second phone, but I'm not going to connect it. How will I do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it through StreamYard. I'm going to do it that way. Okay. Ooh, that's how a lot of you would want to do it. If you wanted to bring in another camera, I will put the case back on this, though, before I wreck it. I certainly want to try, it seems. Okay, case is back. Got to keep your case on your phone. You do. You do. You who have to. Okay. Why don't you just trust in my self-righteous suicide? I try when angels deserve to die. Hmm. There we go. Let's turn down the volume. Don't need any volume on that. Can't go any lower? I need it to go lower. No sound. There we go. No. No sound. No. Wow, it has its own mind of its own here. It's not very cool. In your arms forsaken me. Ba ba bum. Ba ba ba. Cool. Okay. Yeah, that's cool. That works. Is there a solo layout? Oh. Ah, they changed it, yeah. Exit solo layout. That's pretty cool, I guess. Who else is here besides me? Anyone? Blue moon, blue moon, blue moon. I saw you standing alone. Blue moon, blue moon. Without a dream in my heart. Without a love of my own. Blue moon. So then this can go in here. And grip it right there. All right. So that's something. Check 1, 2. Testes, testes, 1, 2. Yeah, so far so good. Seems to be working.
Camera mount desk stand, ton of different accessories and setup in each of those configurations. This is the Ulanzi camera mount desk stand. Ton of different accessories and arms, and can be used to create just about any camera setup you can imagine. And in this video, we're going to take this thing and create a YouTube A-roll set, also a B-roll top-down set, as well as a video meeting setup, and each of those configurations can be changed within minutes. So unboxing this thing reveals a ton of accessories, and they're pretty well made. You get 3 different arms with different lengths, all kinds of different attachments for microphones, cameras, lights, and it connects to your desk with a single pull like you see here. So without further ado, let's see what I was able to come up with using this crazy desk stand. And here we have everything set up. So you'll notice we've got our stand here in the middle. You can see on this camera as well as that camera over there. We've got the $100 stand. I've got a light on one arm. I have the camera, which is currently behind my monitor, kind of hidden away. So from this angle, you can see I can just sit here working away. There's no camera. Of course, I have a laptop here, but you could have a monitor instead. We've got an arm up top, which we'll be talking about a little bit later. And instead of mounting the microphone arm to the stand, I've actually just clamped it to the desk, and that frees up another arm for me to use for something else. So this is kind of, I'm working no camera mode. We're now going to switch over to kind of an A-roll set or a YouTube setup, if you will. So I can take this laptop, which is mounted on a VESA arm, and I'll go ahead and just swing it out of the way like so. With that out of the way, I can now adjust my camera, which as you can see before, I had it kind of hidden behind the computer. Now I can loosen up this arm, swing the camera all the way around just like that. And I'll have it recording here. And now I can adjust the height very easily if I need to. Just like that, and boom, the camera is set up. I still have my laptop here, so I can go ahead and pull up notes or have something else here, or just completely get rid of it if I need to. With the laptop out of the way and the camera set, and what I can do is go ahead and loosen this arm right here, and I'll swing the light around. Something like that looks pretty good. I'll go ahead and turn on the light. I have the controller right here on the desk. And with that light turned on, I can turn off the other lights here in the studio. And now we have just a single light source for this setup. Now it's kind of dark in here, so I'm going to turn on a lamp in the background. So now things are looking pretty good, but I am in a pitch black giant room with no white walls, no windows, which isn't probably what most people have in an office. So I'm going to take this white foam board. I'm actually going to prop it up against my laptop. There's a billion ways you could rig this up, but now you can see we've got some lighter, actual light on this side of my face. It's acting as a fill, reflecting some of our key light onto that dark side of my face. So here's what it looks like with the foam board. I'll get rid of it, and there's what it looks like without. So fairly big difference. When it comes to mounting this light, I actually use the arm that's designed for the microphone arm, remove the mic arm, ran a 1/4-20 bolt and washer through the hole at the end of the arm, and threaded on a spigot with a female quarter. Mount the light to the arm, swing it around, and that's the setup that you see here. So that takes care of lighting for the camera. So that is mounted to the camera stand, which has that ball head that all comes with this stand setup. For my audio, I'm using the same arm that comes with this setup. I'll boom it up here. So pretty nice, got those springs on it so I can easily move it around. But instead of mounting it to the stand, I opted to just clamp it to the desk. So you can go on Amazon and buy a clamp for these arms since it didn't come with a dedicated desk clamp, and throw it on the desk as you see here. It's really easy to move it out of the way when I'm done filming. I also can position the microphone incredibly easily. So as you can see, it's in the shot right now, which maybe isn't ideal. Maybe you don't want to see it in the shot. So using a ball head on the end of the mic arm, you can adjust the angle of the microphone as you can see here. And I'm going to go ahead and just boom this down and out of the shot. Something like that ought to do. I'll lock it in place. And since the microphone is a little further away, I'll bump up my audio levels real quick. Now my audio levels are a little higher, and I think this sounds, I'm running a cable directly to the camera for my sound, and that takes care of audio. Just for reference, I'm not using any sound treatment in this space, so this is what it sounds like with nothing but the microphone and a bunch of hard surfaces, which isn't necessarily a good thing for video. So that takes care of our main A-roll shot. What if I want to film some B-roll though? Let's say I want to get some really nice shots of this super cool Pentax camera, and I want to do it at the desk using this setup. Well, now we're going to move over to doing a top-down setup where we have the camera mounted above the desk, pointed straight down. We're going to set up the lighting and whatnot, and it's pretty straightforward. So what I'm going to be doing is moving the microphone arm out of the way and moving the camera from the lower arm to a triple arm that I have mounted at the top of the pole. On that 3-section arm that's mounted to the top of the pole, I took the little lighting stud and flipped it in the other direction so it's now pointing down. Then I thread. From there I can take my lighting arm and lower it closer to the table, pointed down at the desk surface. And finally, since I'm using a black desk, I threw on a gray sheet of paper or cardboard to give us a lighter background. And here is what the B-roll setup looks like with everything switched up. So we've got our light off to the side, our bounce board, our gray little paper backdrop here, and we've mounted the camera to the upper arm facing straight down. I'm actually still using the microphone, so you could easily do kind of B-roll or voiceover while filming with your product or whatever you have in your frame. I'll go ahead and turn off the house lights so that you can see what things look like when we just have this single light and the fill board. So I'll go ahead and grab this camera to show you what kind of shots you could get with a setup like this. I just really like how clean the lighting looks. Nice soft light. Easily could switch to this setup from your YouTube setup or that A-roll setup we talked about. And just a really quick and easy way to get some nice pretty shots of things you're talking about in your video. So just another setup you can very quickly switch to. Now we're back to the A-roll setup, and I love that you can go from tabletop back to this A-roll using the same desk. Now for our third setup, we're gonna kind of do a live streaming slash Zoom call, video call setup, if you will. And I have my computer mounted just below the actual camera lens. I raise the camera up slightly. I'll turn on a background light so you can better see what we've got going on here. So pretty straightforward setup. We've got the computer, the camera, light is pretty much in the exact same position. Super easy to set up. This is the Ulanzi camera. Clean, the lighting looks nice, soft light. Easily could switch to this setup from your YouTube setup or that A-roll setup we talked about. And just a really quick and easy way to get some nice pretty shots of things you're talking about in your video. So just another setup you can very quickly switch to. Now we're back to the A-roll setup, and I love that you can go from tabletop back to this A-roll using the same desk. Now for our third setup, we're gonna kind of do a live streaming slash Zoom call, video call setup, if you will. And I have my computer mounted just below the actual camera lens. I raise the camera up slightly. I'll turn on a background light so you can better see what we've got going on here. So pretty straightforward setup. We've got the computer, the camera, light is pretty much in the exact same position. Super easy to set up. Now I can rock a video meeting or a live stream, be able to look down at my notes and whatnot. I'll turn off that main light so again, you can see what the setup looks like. And of course, if I want that fill back, I can grab my trusty white board or white foam board here, and I'll just lean it up against the display like that. And we've got this great, super minimal, super tidy little live streaming or video call setup. So far, this is all pretty great. I'm really enjoying this cheap stand that you can do a lot of things with. This is the Ulanzi camera mount.
Actually get started working on the basement down here, and it won't look like I'm making videos in a human slaughterhouse. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Also, that metaphor got really dark. Oh well, what's done is done. Let's talk about controlling. One day, they will actually get started working on the basement down here, and it won't look like I'm making videos in a human slaughterhouse. But that's not what we're here to talk about. Also, that metaphor got really dark. Oh well, what's done is done. Let's talk about controlling audio on your stream, because for some reason there are like two legitimate devices that can actually control inputs and outputs, and both of them are severely limiting. We have the Go XLR, which at its cheapest is $250, plus the cost of the mic, and I mean, it's like 2.5 years old. It's getting outdated. And we also have the Wave from Elgato, which is phenomenal and affordable. The problem is you are stuck with a single mic. This is the only option. Enter the PC Panel Pro for $90 and the PC Panel Mini for $65. Two USB audio mixers that, to be honest, I ended up liking a lot more than I expected to. Now, super important disclosure, both of these were sent to me. I did not pay for them. However, no money was sent to me. I'm also not required to say anything positive. And the owner, the creator of PC Panel, doesn't get to see this until you do. He doesn't get a review or a say or anything. This is gonna be my purely honest review. These things are, in their simplest form, USB audio controllers. You can use them to control Windows audio. You can directly plug these things into Voicemeeter and OBS for direct control. And if you can get a little bit creative, you can use these to add extra faders to your current Go XLR, or even add physical faders to your Wave mic, if that's something you've wanted for a while, which I know a lot of people have. Don't worry, I'll show you how to do all of that. But also let me tell you what these devices are not, because there's a reason this is so much cheaper than a Go XLR. This is not a cheaper Go XLR. They aren't the same device. I see a lot of people tweeting at me saying, is this the Go XLR killer? I even see a lot of videos on YouTube saying, this is the Go XLR killer. I know it's clickbait and the creator probably knows the difference. Not all of you do. It's very important that you know this. The Go XLR is more than just a controller. It's an audio interface, meaning you plug your microphone into it and it's packed full of expensive hardware. Things like preamps, inputs and outputs, converters, expensive VSTs, things that actually heavily impact the quality of your audio. This is just a controller, nothing more than USB on the back of it. You can't plug a microphone into this thing, because if you could, probably cost like $250. Finally got like a legitimate top-down rig. It looks nice. No more of that like on a tripod, slanted at an angle like all of our other top-down stuff has been. We're moving up in the world. Now you just have to see this really crappy Walmart table, which I'm gonna be honest, is kind of growing on me. I think we might get this design like printed on a nice table. This like burned design. It got all burned from Burn the Boats, by the way. This isn't dirty, it's just burned. We burned more than boats. Anyway, back to this thing. 4 faders, 5 knobs. That's 9 channels that you can control from that, which is already, like, I don't know why any streamer would need more than 9 channels, but I'm for it. Plus, each of these knobs, also a button. So you can set those to be like mute buttons or solo buttons or whatever you want. It's a nice touch. The Mini also just has 4 knobs, each of which also a button. Pretty simple. They both also come with a nice braided USB Type-C to USB Type-A cable, which is a good length and just, it feels good. And that's pretty much everything in the box, except for the Mini also comes with a little 3M strip, because these are front facing. So it allows you to unscrew these little feet and instead stick it to your table, which again, just, I feel like they didn't have to include this, but they did. Thank you, PC Panel. That's so nice. So, how does it work? Well, this was actually where the biggest surprise was, because usually with lower cost devices, I don't want to say cheap, lower cost devices like this, where they skimp and where you realize you've been duped, is in the software. And honestly, software was easy to find, easy to install, and like really useful and easy to use. Like, this video is more of a review than a tutorial, because you don't need a tutorial. Like, you can figure it out really easily. I'll still show you some cool stuff. But if you really want a tutorial, PC Panel uploaded their own that goes over every single thing in the software. So you're kind of set. Let's plug this in real quick. I'm gonna show you how this thing works. All right, it's plugged in. It lights up. The whole thing is RGB. Haven't mentioned that yet. not super important. If you like it, that's great. If you don't, you can turn it off. You open up the software, device is right there. Actually, I think you can plug in more than one at a time. I think you can stack these things and really have as many as you want. I don't know what the limit is. I only have these two. Here we go. Looks like if you have more than one plugged in, here's the Pro, here's the Mini, which I'd imagine these little slices or stripes indicates that you can add quite a few more. But let's just focus on these two. So let's say I want to adjust this fader here and make it control my music volume. Let's play some good music. I think a good place to start is the brand new Stream Beats genre. Just throwing that out there. Hi-Fi. You're gonna go to app volume. You're gonna click this little button. Ah, look, Spotify's right here. That's off. Now it's on. Now it's off. Now it's on. There's even kind of a neat setting. If you have no need to turn it all the way down, or maybe not even all the way up, in the settings, let's make the maximum volume 50% because you're streaming. You don't need the volume at 100% ever. I don't know. You're weird, but now I turn it down. And you can see over there on the screen down here, when I turn it back up, it only goes up to 50%. Little quality of life move there. Let's bring it back up to 100 because we're not psychopaths. But we want to move on with the video here. I don't want this thing to keep playing music going into the same microphone as my voice. That causes a lot of problems in editing. So I'm going to take this knob. We're going to go to music control. We're going to make it play pause. And just like that, now the knob right above that fader is the play pause button. So I've got volume, I've got play, and I got pause. I hope you noticed in there's another setting up here for knob, because this is what controls what happens when you turn it. This is what controls what happens when you press it. And if I can just gush over one more thing here, one of the things that made me realize this is a well put together product is that as I move the fader, oftentimes you get shoddy software and the fader on the screen is gonna be a little bit behind. You can see the design is a little bit simple. It feels like cheap software, but as I move the fader, it moves immediately in real time as I move this fader. It's a very responsive software, and I just like that. The devices can also connect directly into Voicemeeter and into OBS. For example, if you use Voicemeeter, I've got it pulled up in the corner over here, you can see the integration is built right into it. So I can change this knob to be input 1, the gain volume. And now, whatever you have set to go into input 1, you can now control with the PC panel. It works the exact same way with OBS. However, before you get started with OBS, you do have to install the OBS WebSocket. And I know you're like, oh, what the heck is an OBS WebSocket? Well, PC Panel Pro did something kind of nice for you. If you go into the settings here and you click on OBS, they give you the link to directly download the WebSocket built into the software. So you click this link, you download, install the WebSocket, check the box that says OBS enabled there, and then when you're in your fader settings, you got your little OBS tab right there. It lets you choose from any of the audio tracks that you've got in OBS. So let's choose desktop audio because the other one, if I try to say it, will get me demonetized. Okay, and look at that. Easy peasy. Set scene. Can you have it change scenes? OBS, set scene, scene. Oh my gosh, you can change scenes. And apparently you can change scenes with it. Hadn't actually tried that yet, so that's kind of neat. Or what I was originally gonna show you is you can mute sources. So now I've got the fader for turning it up and down and the button to just mute it entirely. As for the Wavelink and the Go XLR, this is where it gets a little bit more finicky, but it's still possible. Now, because the software to both of these devices is proprietary and self-contained, there's no API to hack into here. It's not like I can pull this fader down and the fader on the Go XLR also moves. You're not able to directly control the Wavelink and XLR software. However, there is a way to manage the volume of some of those things here. Let me explain. When the Go XLR or the Wavelink is controlling audio that is coming from the computer, for example, if you have teammates coming through Discord that connect to the Wavelink, or maybe you're playing music on your PC that connects to the music fader on the Go XLR. There are two volume controls. There's a volume control on the computer side, like when we were controlling Spotify earlier. There's Spotify on the fader. And then that signal, whatever volume you set it to, goes over to the Go XLR and you control it again over there. So while you can't actually hack into the Go XLR's volume, you can change how much is being sent to the Go XLR or the Wavelink in this situation. And it ends up giving you the exact same result. Let me show it to you real quick. So here in the Wavelink software, we've got our music. And Spotify is playing directly into the music. It's not coming over my speakers anymore. It's first going directly into this software, which is then outputting directly into OBS over here, right? Now what I would normally do is set a Stream Deck button to adjust these faders, You can see that controls the volume of the music. The problem is, using buttons on a Stream Deck to control volume isn't as nice as having a physical fader. But now that my music is being routed out to a different device in the PC Panel software, I can go to device volume and I can actually choose Wavelink music here. Now you see when I move the faders, it doesn't actually move the fader on the screen. It just controls how much volume is being sent to that fader to begin with. So it's adjusting the volume earlier in the signal chain before this gets to control it. So if I move this one down to 50% and then I move this one down to 50%, you essentially now have music at about 25%. Does that make sense? You got two different faders both controlling the volume. So you keep these at 100% all the time and you make this the new volume fader for whichever channels you want to control with this thing. The same exact thing goes for a Go XLR. If you plug this thing into a PC that has a Go XLR plugged in, when you go to device volume, you'll see the Go XLR outputs all inside of here. But there's a lot to toy with on these things. They're a lot more powerful than I thought they'd be. I'm impressed. I'll link them down below in case you want to pick up one for yourself. I'd love to know what you think in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button. Also, if you want to talk with me about it more on a live setting, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Saturday at my personal channel. Link to that in the description down below. Guys, I hope this helped. And as always, happy streaming.
I was wondering what to do with this microphone for a review, and you know what? I'm just gonna podcastage the fuck out of it and hope you're entertained. Do I have a box to throw? It's a heavy, there's a lot of stuff back there. This is the Neumann U89i. This specific one is one of the originals, making it a vintage. Now, these microphones were introduced in 1980 as a way to improve upon the U87. And on paper, they did. In practice, well, the U87 is still king. But this thing does have some creature comforts that do make it a better choice for some. It can handle higher SPL, and it has a more flexible low-cut filter. It also expands on the U87's polar patterns, adding a wide cardioid and a hypercardioid to the arsenal. And this thing is marketed as a universal studio mic, meaning it will basically sound good on everything. Now that said, the U87AI already I was wondering what to do with this microphone for a review. with this microphone for a review. And you know what? I'm just going to podcastage the fuck out of it and hope you're entertained. Do I have a box to throw? It's a heavy, there's a lot of stuff back there. This is the Neumann U89i. This specific one is one of the originals, making it a vintage. Now, these microphones were introduced in 1980 as a way to improve upon the U87. And on paper, they did. In practice, well, the U87 is still king. But this thing does have some creature comforts that do make it a better choice for some. It can handle higher SPL, and it has a more flexible low-cut filter. It also expands on the U87's polar patterns, adding a wide cardioid and a hypercardioid to the arsenal. And this thing is marketed as a universal studio mic, meaning it will basically sound good on everything. Now that said, the U87AI already holds that crown, so this one kind of split the audience, and it never really took off. From a build quality perspective, this thing's solid. I mean, as you would expect from a 20-year-old Neumann microphone, all nickel body. The grill is solid. It has 3 separate areas to change either the polar pattern, the low cut, or also you have the pad on there. As for the specs, this is a large condenser microphone with, as discussed, you've got Omni, wide angle, cardioid, hypercardioid, and figure 8 for polar patterns. It's 20 Hz to 20 kHz. It has a sensitivity of negative 42 dBV per Pascal, equivalent noise level of 17 dBA weighted, a max SPL of 140 dB with attenuation, a signal to noise ratio of 77 dBA weighted, and of course a 6 dB pad, and roll-offs at 80 Hz and 160 Hz for those that record next door to a jackhammer. Okay, time for the off-axis rejection of the Neumann U89i. Here I am speaking about 5 inches off the front of the microphone. Now I'm about 5 inches off the side of the microphone. Now I'm about 5 inches off the rear of the microphone. Now time for the proximity effect test of the Neumann U89i. This is me speaking about 5 inches off the front of the microphone. Now I'm about 1 inch off the front of the microphone. 5 inches, 1 inch. Now let's take a look at some of the polar patterns that are available on this microphone. I've been on the cardioid polar pattern for most of this video, so let's take a look through. This is the Omni cardioid polar pattern. And you'll notice as I swing the microphone around, it's going to be picking up all the same sounds all the way around. Now, this one is the wide angle cardioid, and this is how it sounds. Now, you're going to notice as you go around to the side of the microphone, it continually picks up, but then it drops off near the rear of the microphone. Now we're on the hypercardioid selection for the Neumann U89i. Words are hard. And you're going to notice as I go around to the side of it, it's going to drop off and it's going to be rejecting from the side. Now, if I turn this around, you're also going to notice the lobe of sensitivity at the rear. Now we have the figure 8 polar pattern, and it's going to have sensitivity on either side of the microphone, but on the sides, it will be rather dead. So let's test that out. This is the front of the microphone. The side of the microphone, and this is the rear of the microphone. Now we're going to take a look at the roll-off on this. This is a straight line here. Now we're going to do the 80 roll-off. This is the sound of the Neumann U89i with the roll-off at 80. And this is the Neumann U89i with the roll-off at 160. Now let's take a look at the pad on the Neumann U89i. This is with the pad disengaged, and this is with the pad engaged at 6 dB.
Try a little bit more. Do you want me to talk like this? Yeah. This is Neumann mic. Aiden has also advised me that this is a very expensive mic, so to not touch it. He says there's a heart on it, but really, if you ask me, it looks like a butt. So if you like butt mics, this one's for you.
Okay, so for the first comparison, let's go Neumann versus Neumann. We got the Neumann U89i versus the Neumann TLM102. But to do this, let's hear from our sponsor, Podcastle.ai. Whether you've been tasked with hosting your team's next Zoom meeting, presenting to potential new clients, or entire boards of directors, Podcastle has everything you need to succeed. Not really tech savvy? Don't worry about it. Podcastle's easy-to-follow instructions allow you to record high-quality remote interviews from anywhere, and thanks to its intuitive audio editor, you can make changes on the fly. Podcastle's Magic Dust feature even enables you to isolate monologues and speeches within your podcasts or presentations to make them sound flawless. Sure, all of this sounds expensive, but it's really not. Everything you need to start your podcasting journey is online right now at podcastle.ai for $0. If you're already comfortable behind the mic, click on the pricing link to choose the plan that's right for you. Like Storyteller. Add more color to your stories with additional features and tools for the introductory price of only $11.99 US. Or get started with Podcastle Pro at only $23.99 for the first month. Podcastle Pro includes everything in Storyteller, plus 25 hours of transcription and or text-to-speech per month, 10 high-quality voice skins, and early access to new features. Visit podcastle.ai and make your voice heard today. This is going to be my favorite part of the video. Now we have the Neumann U89i versus the Behringer XM1800S. This one is the bane of Dylan's existence. He hates it. He hates the sound of my voice on it. He hates the sound of everything. He doesn't even like the naming. And this is what it sounds like. What do you think? And now we have the Neumann U89i up against the Behringer XM8500. Which one do you like? Now we have the Neumann U89i versus the workhorse of the music industry, the SM58. And this is what they sound like side by side. Let me know what you think here, because legendary microphone, legendary microphone company. What do you think? Now we have the Neumann U89i versus AKG P120. Which one do you like? Do you like the AKG P120 or do you like the Neumann U89i? Now I've gotten rid of the boom arm because man, oh man, was that a pain in the butt. So now I have the Neumann U89i versus the AKG P420. What do you think here? This one is a $3,000 microphone. This one's not even $300. Now we have the Neumann NT2A. This one is about $400. This one's about $3,000. This is the Neumann U89i. This is the Rode NT2A. What do you think? What do you think of the differences here? I would love to have this microphone. Maybe I'll just steal it. My friend wouldn't like that. He wouldn't like that at all. Why not? Right? Why not? I already did the SM58. I already did the Behringer XM1800S. This is the Neumann U89i. And this is the Shure SM7B. Why not? Right? This is the Neumann U89i, and this is the Lewitt LCT440. Do you like the Neumann U89i or the Lewitt LCT440? And now we have the Neumann U89i up against the Evo Audient. This is like the best worst case scenario for the bundled microphones. Evo just got in under the line. Which one do you like? The Neumann U89i or the Audient Evo? Please don't say the Evo. Okay then. These are getting kind of stupid. This is the Neumann U89i, and this is the RE20. Once again, why not, right? Now, I actually really like this microphone on me. I mean, of course I do. It's a Neumann, though I don't think I'm going to be buying one anytime soon. I love every single frequency that comes out of it, and I kind of want to keep it. I know, I've got to give it back. I get it. I don't think there is much else to say, though. If you're looking for a stupidly expensive studio microphone and you have the money to throw around, links are in the description, I guess. Although, if you really did like this video, check out that time I got to test out Dylan's U87 AI. Cheers, and I'll see you in the next video. Wait, gotta line them up. Gotta be super scientific here, folks. People will call you on that if you're not. Really, as if you think this video requires an introduction.
Little gleaming dots. Bicentennial Man. 1. Andrew Martin said, "Thank you," and took the seat offered him. He didn't look driven to the last resort, but he had been. He didn't actually look anything, for there was a smooth blankness to his face, except for the sadness one imagined one saw in his eyes. His hair was smooth, light brown, rather fine, and there was no facial hair. He looked freshly and cleanly shaved. His clothes were distinctly old-fashioned, but neat and predominantly a velvety red-purple in color. Facing him from behind the desk was the surgeon, and the nameplate on the desk included a fully identifying series of letters and numbers, which Andrew didn't bother with. To call him doctor would be quite enough. "When can the operation be carried through, doctor?" he asked. The surgeon said softly, with that certain inalienable note of respect that a robot always used to a human being, "I am not certain, sir, that I understand how or upon whom such an operation could be performed." There might have been a look of respectful intransigence on the surgeon's face, if a robot of his sort, in lightly bronzed stainless steel, could have such an expression, or any expression. Andrew Martin studied the robot's right hand, his cutting hand, as it lay on the desk in utter tranquility. The fingers were long and shaped into artistically metallic looping curves, so graceful and appropriate that one could imagine a scalpel fitting them and becoming, temporarily, one piece with them. There would be no hesitation in his work, no stumbling, no quivering, no mistakes. That came with specialization, of course, a specialization so fiercely desired by humanity that few robots were, any longer, independently brained. A surgeon, of course, would have to be, and this one, though brained, was so limited in his capacity that he didn't recognize Andrew, had probably never heard of him. Andrew said, "Have you ever thought you would like to be a man?" The surgeon hesitated a moment, as though the question fitted nowhere in his allotted positronic pathways. "But I am a robot, sir." "Would it be better to be a man?" "It would be better, sir, to be a better surgeon. I could not be so if I were a man, but only if I were a more advanced robot. I would be pleased to be a more advanced robot." "It does not offend you that I can order you about? That I can make you stand up, sit down, move right or left, by merely telling you to do so?" "It is my pleasure to please you, sir. If your orders were to interfere with my functioning with respect to you, or to any other human being, I would not obey you. The first law, concerning my duty to human safety, would take precedence over the second law relating to obedience. Otherwise, obedience is my pleasure. But upon whom am I to perform this operation?" "Upon me," said Andrew. "But that is impossible. It is patently a damaging operation." "That doesn't matter," said Andrew calmly. "I must not inflict damage," said the surgeon. "On a human being you must not," said Andrew. "But I, too, am a robot." 2. Andrew had appeared much more a robot when he had first been manufactured. He had then been as much a robot in appearance as any that had ever existed, smoothly designed and functional. He had done well in the home to which he had been brought in those days when robots in households, or on the planet altogether, had been a rarity. There had been 4 in the home, Sir and Ma'am, and Miss and Little Miss. He knew their names, of course, but he never used them. Sir was Gerald Martin. His own serial number was NDR. He forgot the numbers. It had been a long time, of course, but if he had wanted to remember, he could not.
Hey everybody, we're the Clark family and we're going to sing Who Do You Love?
1, 2, 3, 4. for a left time. Brand new house on the roadside. Let's get out around state high. A brand new chimney and I put on top. Made out of fuel and stone. Come on, take a little walk with the liquor. Tell me who do you love? Who do you love? All around town, get your out of state with. Take it easy, but don't you give me the word. Who do you love? I said, who do you love? Oh, I gotta get so man to break your mind. This one is you and I don't mind dying. Who do you love? Oh, who do you love? Yeah. Yeah. Now they took me by my hand. Lonesome Georgiana understand. Who do you love? The night was dark and the sky was blue. Down the alley where the eyes were blue. With a bump and somebody scream. You should have heard just what I said. Who do you love? Oh, who do you love? Go, baby. So man, I break out mine. Just only do I don't mind dying. This is you, baby, on my feet. Put down music with the boat in the beat. Say, who do you love? Who do you love? I walk 47 miles of my wide. I got a home mistake for a lip time. Brand new house on the roadside. And there's a bit out of rattlesnake high. Brand new chimney on the road downtown. Get out of you, let's go. Come on, baby, take a walk to the town and tell me who do you love? Who do you love? Come on. I said, who do you love? Come on, man. Oh! Oh, there you go. Good job, baby.